प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि विष्णु की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि। श्लोका ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। भगवद्गीता as it is. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। संजय उवाच। भगवद्गीता चैप्टर नंबर 1 ऑब्जर्विंग द आर्मी, श्लोक नंबर 2। संजय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यम् उपसंगम्य राजा वचनम् अब्रवीत्। संजय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यम् उपसंगम्य राजा वचनम् अब्रवीत्। Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam.
Vyudam Duryodhanastada.
Vyudam Duryodhanastada.
Acharyam Upasangamya.
Acharyam Upasangamya.
Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Raja Vajanam Abravit. Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam.
Vyudam Duryodhanastada.
Vyudam Duryodhanastada.
Acharyam Upasangamya.
Acharyam Upasangamya.
Raja Vajanam Abravit.
Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam.
Drishtva tu Pandavanikam.
Vyudam Duryodhanastada.
Vyudam Duryodhanastada.
Acharyam Upasangamya.
Acharyam Upasangamya.
Raja Vajanam Abravit.
Raja Vachanam Abravit. Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjay said,
Sanjay said,
Drishtva,
Drishtva,
after seeing
after seeing
two, but Pandava Anikam,
Pandavanikam,
the soldiers of the Pandavas,
the soldiers of the Pandavas,
Vyudam,
Vyudam,
arranged in military phalanx,
arranged in military phalanx,
Duryodhana,
Duryodhana,
King Duryodhana,
King Duryodhana,
Tada,
Tada,
at that time, Acharya, Acharyam,
the
the teacher,
Upasangamya,
approaching
Raja,
the king,
Vachanam,
words,
Abravit,
spoke. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in a military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following word purport. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on battlefield. Sanjay wanted, therefore, to encourage the despondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhana, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to Commander-in-Chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhana is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician, but Duryodhana's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. So we just started from yesterday, so wonderful. So Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, as Prabhu always wanted that we should study Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedic literatures. In fact, yesterday Sudhir Gopal Prabhu was telling, and he nicely started that whatever the questions or whatever all the scriptures is there actually talking about, that everything is in Bhagavad Gita. But there is something which is in Bhagavad Gita, but that we will not find outside. So it's so glorious to study Bhagavad Gita. And in fact, today we are going to have two things. One is the shloka that we recited, and also the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. So what I heard is that one Srila Prabhupada had given a class on Bhagavad Gita, and it so happened that there were no audience. And Prabhupada, it was told that Prabhupada gave class to the four walls. And it was so fantastic class. That class became the introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is. So today all 30 pages what we have, on Bhagavad Gita introduction is nothing but Srila Prabhupada class on Bhagavad Gita on particular day when there are no audience. You can understand Prabhupada's seriousness, because Prabhupada is so fixed. His instruction, the instruction that he received from his spiritual master was his life and soul. No matter whether people are there or people are not there, whether he has a success or whether he has no success in terms of material eyes, like Jhansi, when he started the League of Devotees 1953, it may appear that it was a failure from the material eyes, but it was always a spiritual success, because he was always trying to execute the instruction of his spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada, this whole Bhagavad Gita's introduction, so around 30 pages, today we will go through that. Srila Prabhupada talks about what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, how we should understand Bhagavad Gita, and different topics of what are the 5 different topics that are discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So we'll go, so we just present in a summary format so that we can quickly and easily grasp this introduction what Srila Prabhupada is so deep and profound. If we understand the whole introduction 30 pages, I think we will dedicate our life for the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So wonderful. So Prabhupada says this Bhagavad Gita is known as a Gita Upanishad because it is the essence of all the Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature, because whatever the question that we have inside, outside, everything is being answered here in Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada says, just like if we take medicines and we have doctor here, another Dr. Mataji there, so we cannot go whimsically and take medicines as we want. We have to take the medicines as per the prescriptions of doctor. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada says that if we want to follow Bhagavad Gita or take the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, we have to take according to the instruction or according to the way that Bhagavad Gita wanted, or the way Arjuna took that instruction seriously, we should also follow in the footsteps of Arjuna. So Srila Prabhupada starts with that Bhagavad Gita should not be followed whimsically, but we should follow the way Arjuna followed in the disciplic succession, so that we understand the essence. Otherwise, there is a lot of opportunity that we can misinterpret Bhagavad Gita, because Sanskrit language is so beautiful that we can interpret the way you want it. And in 18.66, Lord Krishna says that Sarva Dharman Pariteja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tam Sarva Pape Moksha Sevimasu. So one commentator, he says Krishna is talking about not to surrendering to Krishna himself, but something which is within, unborn, eternal, unmanifested, Nirakar, Niraguna. Avikar Niraguna. So Prabhupada says that, where did it mention? Krishna very clearly says that Sarva Dharman Pariteja Mam Ekam Sharanam, you surrender unto me. It is so clear, so that is why we have to understand Bhagavad Gita accepted as a spoken, the way Arjuna, Lord Krishna spoke. He said that surrender unto me, not to somebody else. So where is the question of surrendering something which is unborn, eternal, unmanifested? No. Surrender to Lord Sri Krishna himself, there is no question. So that is why we have to understand Bhagavad Gita the way Krishna wanted us to understand. And that's why when Prabhupada translated Bhagavad Gita, he translated the name that he has given as, what is the, as it is Yatharup, Jasi Hai Tasi, Yatharup. So Prabhupada starts with that. Then obviously, whenever there is any book or commentary is there, so we have to understand what is the purpose. Sometimes we may go in some shloka, karmanyavadi karaste ma phaleshu kadachan, and we just get lost there because we perform your duties. But we have to understand in the bigger context. So that's why Prabhupada gives the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? To read and recite shlokas. Yes, that is one of the purpose. What is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? Surrender unto Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says that somehow or the other, unfortunately, every one of us is in full of difficulty. Just like Arjuna was in a difficulty, we are also in difficulty. Dukkalayama Shasvata. So Prabhupada says that, so nicely he says that humanity begins with the inquiry. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Inquire, who am I? What is the purpose of this human form of life? Why I am here? And why I am going through all this difficult situation? Everybody wants to be happy, right? We wanted Anandamaya Abhyasa. Everybody wants to be happy. But why I am going through so many difficulties? So what is the purpose? So the human form of life or the humanity begins from there, that inquiry. Before that we are not even a human. So sometimes we may feel that we are following the four regulative principles and we are big devotees. Srila Prabhupada says that is just human civilization. Following the four regulative principles means we are just become human. Forget about devotee. Devotee is far from there, far past reality. And also Prabhupada says, which Bandhuvana Prabhu last Sunday he mentioned, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver the mankind from the nescience of the material existence. So that is the whole purpose, because we are all got into this material world and we got entangled every action we do, and because of the resultant and because of our conditioning, we are getting more and more entangled, just like if there are thread, and once it gets entangled, and after some time if you try to remove that, it gets more and more entangled. So similarly, we have lost in this ocean of Bhavasagar and we don't know how to get out of this Bhavasagar. And Srila Prabhupada says that is one of the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, to remove all of us from this ocean of nescience. And of course, Prabhupada says that Lord Krishna descended for the purpose that we all forgot. And also he come to the establish the Yada Yada Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharat Abhyudhanam Adharmasya Tadatmanam Sujana Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkam Dharma Sansthapanarthaya Sambhavami. So I come to establish the religion. So whenever there is a decline in the religion practices, Krishna says that he personally comes. So Arjuna questions Lord Krishna about the problems of life, so that Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generation of the human beings. So it is not that Arjuna, so you see that's so beautiful, because just like Arjuna is asking questions, similar way Parikshit Maharaj also asked the question. These great devotees, they were put in a difficulties for a bigger purpose. The bigger purpose was that Arjuna would get into difficulties, he would ask questions and Krishna would answer to him. In turn, he will address to the whole humanity. You can understand that Krishna is so intelligent, just like you said in one shot two. Yeah. So maybe Krishna, we don't know whether 2 or 3 or multiple or hundreds or thousands of. So that is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. From the introduction, Srila Prabhupada says that the main purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver the mankind from this nescience. So now once we know Bhagavad Gita, how do we understand this Bhagavad Gita? We have to understand Bhagavad Gita the way Krishna has spoken to Arjuna, the way Arjuna understood in the mood, the same way, because this Bhagavad Gita should be understood in a disciplic succession. Just now we discussed that we can actually translate and give our own commentary based on our own conditioning. Unless and until we hear in a disciplic succession, it is very difficult to understand the purpose, because Krishna will reveal to his disciples and the disciple will give it to next disciple. The degree that we surrender to the degree that Krishna will reveal to us. So tomorrow, if we start our own commentary on Bhagavad Gita, it will have so many faults, because we have difficulties. We are limited by our senses, we are limited by our knowledge. So that's why we have to understand Bhagavad Gita the way Arjuna understood. So Bhagavad Gita is mean for, Srila Prabhupada says, Bhagavad Gita is mean for the devotees of the Lord. And the purpose, the person who is trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is like prerequisite. Unless and until we understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no matter whatever that Bhagavad Gita shloka that we are reciting or trying to remember, we will have no understanding who Krishna is, because it may happen that we may take Krishna as an ordinary human being. So at least Prabhupada says that you theoretically understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And last Prabhupada said, we must understand, accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, and without our own whimsical participation in the matter. So we should understand Bhagavad Gita coming in a disciplic succession, and in the mood Krishna wanted to give to Arjuna, and in the same mood Arjuna also understood Bhagavad Gita. And why we have to hear Bhagavad Gita from Krishna? In fact, it is said that it is a perfect theistic knowledge. Why this Bhagavad Gita is a perfect theistic knowledge? Because it was spoken by Lord Sri Krishna. And why we cannot have our own, we can also create our own Bhagavad Gita, our Gita, right? instead of Bhagavad, we can have our own Gita. Why we cannot have our own songs? Because we are limited by four defects. And what are those four defects? Imperfect senses,
tendency to commit mistakes,
tendency to cheat,
then cheat, and then
to commit mistake,
become illusion.
and illusion. So these are the four defects. So when we have these four defects, for example, our senses are very limited. This is very simple. Now I cannot see what's happening here, right? Unless I remove that. So what to talk about going this beyond that? We don't know what is happening within our own body, and we can hear within the frequency of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Beyond that range we cannot hear. And if we put a stick inside the water, because of the laws of refraction, the stick appear to be bent. So that means, or even if you go to Prabhu's place Rajasthan in the summer, and on the road you see all mrugajal, right, water, but actually there is no water. So all is right, it's illusion. So if we try to understand the perfect knowledge from these limited senses, it's very difficult. First of all, we will not be able to understand. We don't know what's happening within our body. What to talk about the knowledge within this universe and beyond this universe is very difficult. So that's why the knowledge given by Lord Krishna is called as Apurushaya, because we are limited by four defects. But Krishna is beyond that. So that's why the knowledge given by Lord Krishna is always perfect. And we always discuss that when we have a cell phone design, we have version 1, version 2, right? Model S1, S2, S3. And after that it becomes S4, S5, S6. Because when we designed S1, we had limited knowledge, limited information. Then we went to the people who are using that. We got the feedback from there and then we improved on that. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita is not like that. Krishna gave, okay, let me give the first version and understand that what are the practical things, and then I will give you version 1.2. No, Bhagavad Gita is always, yesterday was Bhagavad Gita, today is the same Bhagavad Gita, and tomorrow is going to be the same Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see that the whole Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna Uvacha, Sanjaya Uvacha, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Krishna Uvacha. No, it is a Bhagavan Uvacha. We know that, all of us know that why it is accepted as a Bhagavan. Not only Bhagavad Gita, Vyasudeva accepted Krishna as a Bhagavan, Acharyas accepted Krishna as a Bhagavan, and even Arjuna says that. He said that not only me, Vyasa, Narada, Asila, all these great acharyas they have accepted. Because in our Siksha, we have questions. Why do you accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The answer is that because it is told by acharyas, Lord Krishna told himself, Vyasudeva tells, so that's why we accept Krishna as a Bhagavan there. And then Prabhupada said there are three types of transcendentalists. What is a transcendentalist? This word, first time we understand from Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's purport. If we go outside, people will fumble that, they will not even know. Transcendentalist, bewilderment, it's very particular word Srila Prabhupada used. And if you ask all our devotees and even a small child, they will say Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they are transcendentalists. We have to go beyond that. We are bewildered. So this is particular. So what is the transcendentalist?
Above the material things,
which is beyond the conditioning, beyond the three modes of. So Prabhupada says there are three types of transcendentalists. What are those three types of transcendentalists?
Jnani, Yogi and Bhakta.
Jnani, Yogi and Bhakta. Perfect. And then what are the different rasas? So we are just going summary so that we understand the introduction about Bhagavad Gita. What are the different rasas? Srila Rupa Goswami talks about that in Nectar of Devotion. Shanta rasa, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And we know that in each of that we have a example. So in the neutral, who is the example? The sages. The sages, when they worship Lord Krishna or Lord Ram, so they are in the mode of neutral. Who is in Dasya? Sakhya, Arjuna. Vatsalya, the parental, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and conjugal is the Madhurya Rasa, which is Gopis and Radharani. What are the 5 topics that Bhagavad Gita talks about? This is also one of the questions in our Siksha.
Time.
What are the 5 factors that Lord Krishna talks about? Lord Krishna talks in Bhagavad Gita.
Time,
time,
karma,
karma,
soul,
jiva,
jiva,
Ishvara,
prakriti.
Prakriti. Now, out of these five, there are five are in one category and one is in another category. What is that category?
Time. Eternal. Time.
Eternal, and one is not eternal. Ravi Shankar Prabhu, what is the one factor or one topic Lord Krishna asked which is not eternal? Ishvara is
Eternal.
eternal. Jiva is
Eternal.
Prakriti is,
Eternal.
but we think that Prakriti is temporary. So how do we understand that?
Prakriti is eternal. Manifestation is.
Prakriti is eternal, but the manifestation, just like now Suryadev is not there. So is the Suryadev eternal or it is now lost? So like this, when there is manifestation, it may appear in front of some time, but Prakriti is eternal. Karma,
Temporary.
temporary. This is the only thing which is temporary. Why karma is temporary?
It is finished by going up or down.
Going up or down, or once we
Surrender.
get eternal or we get liberated, we are eternal, sorry. When we get liberated, so then we are not conditioned anymore by these laws of material nature. And the last is time. So if you are not, Srila Prabhupada talks about Krishna, that he is eternal and greatest of all and he is a controller of Prakriti. Right? Srila Prabhupada says that people know that God is great, but how great he is, we have to come to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata. So we can understand only when we come to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavata. So how greatest, he is greatest, because sometimes people may understand what to talk of sometimes. Even Duryodhana also could not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He thought Krishna is some ordinary person or maybe some mystic person or some Mayavi person, he knows some magic, but he did not understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sometimes people may say that, or we may ask that we should be fortunate Krishna should come in front of us. Even if Krishna come in front of us, we may not able to recognize, just like even Duryodhana could not recognize. Even the Brahmanas, Dvija in Vraja, they could not even understand that Krishna is the Supreme. But Dvija Patni could understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Conditioned soul, we are Tatastha. Why we are called as a Tatastha?
We can be under.
We are on the bank, just like on the shore. We can be in the water or we can in the land. So Tatastha. That's why we have a propensity to go toward the spiritual world or come to the material world. And as long as we are in this material world, we are conditioned. And the condition under the three modes. And that is what Sattva-guna, Raja-guna and Tamo-guna. And the karma, as we know that the activities that we do, the results we will get. Srila Prabhupada also talks about Sanatana Dharma. What is Sanatana Dharma?
Eternal.
In Vedic literature, there is nowhere mentioned about Hindu Dharma. It is only mentioned about Sanatana Dharma. And Srila Prabhupada gives that, according to the Ramanujacharya, Sanatana means it has no beginning and it has no end. Just like Srila Prabhupada also gives that, what is the eternal function of the living entities? What is the dharma of living entities?
To serve.
Just like, so Prabhupada gives dharma definition so beautifully that is the intrinsic properties of that substance or object that cannot be separated from that. Just like the properties of sugar is sweetness, the property of water is to quench thirst. So similarly, which cannot be taken away from the water or sugar simultaneously. So similarly, the properties or the nature of living entities cannot be separated from his dharma, and that dharma is to serve Krishna. Jivere Swarupa hai Krishnera Nityadas. And Prabhupada actually differentiate what is the dharma, a religion that we contemporary word translate dharma as a religion, and what actually meant by Sanatana Dharma. So Prabhupada says that the religion means convey faith, and the faith may change. But Sanatana Dharma, the faith that we refers, that cannot be changed. Religion can have beginning or end, because some religion just born 2000 years ago, right? But Sanatana Dharma is always there, and Sanatana Dharma is eternal. So Prabhupada talks about the difference between the religion and Sanatan Dharma. Yeah, Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy here. There is a heat and light along with the fire. Without heat and light, there is no meaning to the word fire. As long as there is a fire, there is a light and heat. So similarly, the living entity and the dharma of living entity of serving Krishna cannot be separated. It is eternal. And the problem is that when we forget or when we try to separate, we do that. We do that. And instead of becoming a Jivere Swarupa hai Krishna and Nityadas, Jivere Swarupa hai living entities boss. When we try to be living entities boss, our own boss or other, and then it's a incompatibility situation. Just like the Prabhupada gives a very nice example. Fish out of water, he struggles. He cannot live for a long time because it's incompatible situation. So similarly, living entities, the real nature of living entities to a servant, as long as we are a servant, we are happy or we are satisfied, santosha, ananda. But the moment we actually change our position from the servant to the master or boss, and then we are in trouble. So Srila Prabhupada always says that the soul is trying to be master of all that survey. It's a Prabhupada's word in purport. So he wanted to become master of everything. And then we have problem or challenges. And then Prabhupada talks about what is the spiritual word. 15.7 Natad bhasayate suryena shashanka yad gatva na nivartate tadadhama paramam. So Krishna's abode is a Golok Vrindavan. He doesn't need sun, he doesn't need moon, he doesn't need electricity also, Vescom, or he doesn't need anything. Krishna's abode is illumined by Brahma Jyoti. And then opposite to the spiritual word, Prabhupada also talks about material word. And what are the characteristics of the material world? We have a problem there, which is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, and Darshanam. And then Prabhupada also talks about how this material world, as actually all topics are so nice, but just wanted to go glimpse quickly so that we understand what did Prabhupada write in the whole introduction, 30 pages. 30 pages of. So he talks about this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Urdhumulam adhashakam ashwatam prahuravayam chandansi yasya parnani yasta vedasa veda vedi. So this material world is the reflection. Now when we say reflection, it also means that it is a temporary, and it also means that there must be something. Because the reflection cannot exist without having something in a real. So this material world also implies that it is a temporary. It also implies that there is something which is permanent, and that is the spiritual world. So Prabhupada says that the material world is the reflection of the spiritual world. And something, yes, Shivaram Prabhu.
Is it also opposite of the
Yes, yes, sir. When you see in the reflection, we see exactly ulta, right? So, जैसे भी spiritual world में love is the topmost, but that love becomes different in the material world, and then everybody is actually entangled under the name of love. And not only that, in fact, Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example, and the story that suppose there is a tree on the bank of pond or lake, and then you see the reflection of that tree in the things, and that it is fortunately supposed to be mango tree. Now we see in the reflection there is mango, and then some swimmer, he comes and he jumps and goes there and try to get that reflection or mango in the reflection. Will he really get the mango in the reflection? No. Why? Because it's a reflection, and that is what it appears so funny, right? This person doesn't have even a small intelligence that he's going and taking that reflection, but actually we are all like that. We are also trying to find happiness in the material world and trying to jump there. But in reality, the happiness is only in the spiritual world or the activity which are connected to Krishna. If we try to find the happiness in the material world, we will have the person who is trying to get the mango in a reflection. And what is the difference between the material world and spiritual world? One is eternal, one is permanent, temporary. There is no happiness, there is happiness here. And no reality. Because if you try to get that mango, you can get the mango, it's not a reality. And then Prabhupada also gives how to attain that spiritual world, right? Now, after understanding this, any Tom, Dick, and Harry say that I want happiness and I want permanent place. So where to go? Spiritual world. Then Prabhupada very logically he should also give the formula how to go to spiritual world. He said, Anta kale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram ye prayati samad bhavan yati na asti atra samshaya. There is no doubt about what? If you remember Krishna at the time of death, you will definitely attain his nature. Of this there is no doubt. Asamshaya. Yamyam vapi smaran bhava taje ante kalevaram tam tam me kaunte sada tat bhav. Whatever bhav that we remember at the time of death, we will attain that for sure. So Srila Prabhupada say that we have to remember Krishna at the time of death. If we remember Krishna at the time of death, for sure we will attain Krishna. So simple formula, right? We will do whatever we want throughout our life, and at the time of death we will remember Krishna.
Without practice, it is hard.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. We cannot do that. For example, students, if they don't study throughout the year, 9, 10, 11, whatever the months they have, and they said, okay, now I'll go and appear for exam, and I will actually do some immoral, illegal activity, and get some more pass. In material life, they may get escaped, but in the laws of material or Krishna's laws, you cannot get escaped. So, it is not possible to attain Krishna. If it's so simple, we can actually do that. In fact, there was one person, and he said that, okay, all you have to remember Krishna, right? Then he had 4 sons. Then he gave the name of the Chaturvya. What is that Chaturvya? Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And then he named the 4 sons of these 4 things, and he said, okay, all I remember at the time of, just like Ajamila remember Narayana, I will remember these 4 sons, or call them Sankarshan, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and I will leave the body. And now he was on a deathbed, and it so happened that all these 4 sons came, Baba, father, uncle, dad, whatever. What happened? And everybody closed their business and they came, and this person was so worried, and he said that, oh, you closed your shop and you came here and he left his body. So even if we try to remember or forcefully try to remember Krishna, how is it possible? It is not at all possible. Because we can remember things at the time of death that we have practiced throughout our life. If we are practiced throughout our life is only about money, or business, or shop, what will remember at the time of death?
Shop.
Only shop, and will become a cockroach in that shop or whatever is that process that. Then if we want to go to the spiritual world, Prabhupada says that we have to work in akarma way, and that akarma way is that Prabhupada says that we have to engage all our leg, hand, intelligence, mind in the service of Srila Prabhupada, in the service of Lord Sri Krishna. Then the senses will automatically get purified. One of the questions that was asked in last Gita course that how do we actually control our mind? We cannot control our mind. We have to engage our mind. So just if we engage our body and senses in our job or office work, we cannot call as a work. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.7, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaram yudhacha. Tasmat. Therefore, Tasmat is like when there is some section and then Krishna or Vyasdev gives something and at the end he comes to conclusion. Tasmat. Therefore, so 8.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the 7th he said, Tasmat, comma. Therefore, sarveshu kaleshu. By the way, in Sanskrit there is no comma. Sanskrit there is no comma, no separation, only in other language. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. So you remember me, so you fight, but how do you fight? By remembering Krishna. So similarly, here Prabhupada is saying that if we have to go back to the spiritual world, what we have to do? We have to engage in the activity of Krishna while remembering Krishna. And we'll see today how Arjuna actually acted exactly on that platform. Even at the beginning, Arjuna was also confused. And then he asked Krishna, what shall I do? Krishna said that you fight. But how do you fight? You remember me and then fight. So the formula or the success or the in our Gita course, patch up or the permanent solution. The turning point in our life is that as long as we are working using our body and senses for our sense gratification, we will be living a life of whatever we have left, millions of life, the same way we will continue. Whatever we got in the previously, the same result we will get, unless and until we change the formula or change the way we act. And what we have, the turning point is that we have to turn to Krishna. We have to engage our body and senses. That's why Sri Gaur Prabhu very mercifully, Harikshetra Prabhu engaged all of us in Janmashtami hard, very hard, right? Last 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, everybody is so engaged. They completely absorbed. The thought is completely about how to get our these services done. And on that night, no sleeping for many of the devotees. 36 hours, some of the devotees, including Prabhu, were actually awake, including our mind, intelligence, senses. Somebody may say, how do we utilize our mind, senses? Mind is like meditating on Krishna. Intelligence is like remembering shloka, leg, hand, go to the temple, serve devotees, clean the temple, clean the vessels, wash the vessels, clean the temples, all this. Now these Matajis, they come, every day they come and they make garland here. So they engage their hand, intelligence, mind, service of Krishna. And when we intelligence, our mind and intelligence in the service of Krishna, and while dedicating our activity for the service of Krishna, then at the end of life, we obviously, definitely, by the mercy of Krishna, will remember Krishna. Devotees were saying, Prabhupada, Swamiji, how are we assured that we'll remember? Because we don't know how we will die, right? Somebody may die accident, somebody may die in coma, somebody may die this way, somebody may die that way. How are we assured? Prabhupada says that, do not worry. Even if you don't remember Krishna, Krishna will make you remember Krishna. And that is the beauty of what is impossible for Krishna. Am sarvasya prabhu mata sarva pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava sama. Everything is under his control. Maya adhyakshana prakriti suyate sachara charan hetu nanene kamte jagat viparivar. The whole material world is under him. What is impossible for him? Nothing impossible for him. And that is why Prabhupada says that we have to accept Krishna. Theoretically, at least, he is a supreme personality of Godhead. He is the controller of all the whole Prakriti. So if we dedicate our life this way, then we actually go back to the spiritual world. So beautiful topic, but then Prabhupada talks about Navavidha Bhakti. What are the Navavidha Bhaktis? Sravanam,
Kirtanam,
Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Who told this?
Ambarish.
Prahlad Maharaj. In 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj told, Beta, now you went there, what did you learn? Then he says, Papa, I learned Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. He said, he got angry. Vishnu! Don't take Vishnu's name, he's my enemy. So Prabhupada gives the Sravanam, all these. So if we engage ourselves in one of these 9 Navavidha Bhaktis, we can actually perfect our life. But Prabhupada recommended for all of us to start with Sravanam and Kirtanam. Our Bhagavad Marg is based on the 2 track, Sravanam and Kirtanam. So we hear, we chant, Sravanam, Kirtanam. And Prabhupada also gives the example. Who is the devotee who perfected his life using Sravanam?
Parikshit.
Kirtanam, Sukadeva Goswami. Vishnu Smaranam, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj always meditating. Pada Sevanam, Lakshmi Devi. Archanam, Prithu Maharaj. Vandanam, Akrura, going back from Vrindavan to this. Sakyam, Arjun, Atma Nivedan, Bali Maharaj. Dasyam, Hanumanji. Very good. And I think we are almost close to the end of this. So, at the end, Prabhupada also talks about the glories, Gita Mahatmya. What is Gita Mahatmya? The glories by Lord Shiva in Padma Purana. There are 8. So, Gita Mahatmya, shloka number 6. Sarva Upanishad Gao Dogdha Gopala Nandana Partho Vassa Sudhir Bhokta Dogdham Gita Amrita Mahat. Translation closing.
This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like a cow. And Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf. And learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita.
Sarva Upanishad Gao. Gao means cow. Sarva Upanishad. This Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Upanishad, is like a cow. Dogdha Gopala Nandana. Dogdha means the person who is actually milking the cow. Partho Vassa Sudhira Bhokta. All the devotees, cow and Arjuna, they are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So just like milk is very nectarian, right? milk from cow, milk from mother, so nectarian. All we need is only milk. So when we drink that nectarian milk, it nourishes the body and everything. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says that if you want to practice Krishna consciousness, we should drink actually milk because it purify our senses. So here, just like Gomata gives the milk, it is so nectarian. So similarly, this Bhagavad Gita gives this instruction, and it's so nectarian. And we drink that nectar, actually our life becomes successful. And the seventh is, sometimes people say that there should be only one Bhagwan, there should be only one Gita, and there should be only one name. And that is what Gita Mahatma says.
Ekam shastram devaki putra gitam, eko devo devaki putreva, eko mantrastasya namani yani, karmapi ekatasya devasya seva.
There should be Ekam Shastra, and that Shastra is Devaki Putram Gitam. That means
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, Devaki Putra, Lord Sri Krishna. Eko Deva, Devaki Putra. There should be only one Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is that? None other than our merciful Lord Sri Krishna. And there should be only one mantra.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And there should be only one karma. Devotional service unto Lord Sri Krishna. And this is the glory of Bhagavad Gita by Lord Shiva in Padma Purana. So, at the end, Prabhupada says that, okay, if you read Bhagavad Gita, what are the benefits that we are going to get, right? Today we are so selfish. Mujhe kya milega? Prabhupada said, okay, Gita Shastram idam punyam pathet prayatah puman. If one properly follows the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, one can be freed from all the miseries and anxieties of life. You connect now. Srila Prabhupada said, what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita?
Take us out from material
Anxieties and difficulties. And that Prabhupada says that it can be done by following the instruction, reading and meditating and applying the principles of Bhagavad Gita in our life. Gita Shastram idam punyam punyamah pathet. Pathet means you read. Prayataha puman, all living entities, all the difficulties will go. And Vishnu padam avapnoti bhaya shoka adi varjitaha. So what will happen? Okay, kya milega mujhe? We will get free from all those things, but that's only one part of that. The second part B is that you will attain Vishnu padam avapnoti. You will attain the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, and not only that, bhaya, shoka, and all these difficulties, that we will actually get rid of that. If we want all those things, what shall we do? Read Bhagavad Gita. This is our Gita course pamphlet. If you read Bhagavad Gita, before that, the situation of Arjuna, and after you read Bhagavad Gita, what happens? The essence of Bhagavad Gita, so Prabhupada concludes that by adopting the principles enunciated in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, one can perfect their life and permanently, not patch up solution, permanently solve all the problems of life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Now we start our shloka. 7:51. We'll finish in 10:50. Is that okay, bro? Because we said we'll at least, now we know that it is so beautiful. If you get time, please read this introduction of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada is so beautiful about all these topics. So now we'll come to the second shloka which we are discussing today. O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Društva tu Pandava nikam. Drushta tu Pandava means after seeing the armies are the soldiers of the forces of Pandavas. So now it is so beautiful here that in the first shloka, Dhritarashtra asked, what are my sons and the sons of Pandava doing that? And yesterday Prabhu says so nicely. Now if you go to hotel or you go to movie, what will you do then? You will watch the movie. If you go to cricket match, what will you do? You will watch. If you go to hotel, you will eat there, right? So similarly, when they came to battlefield, what are they going to do?
Fight.
They are going to fight. So simple, but because of the fear, he wanted that there should not be compromise between my sons and sons of Pandu, because he wanted his son to be victorious at the end of the battlefield. So this problem of Pandavas will be resolved permanently. So there will be no question, no sharing of my kingdom with, sharing of kingdom with Pandavas. So then immediately Sanjay understood the mood of Dhritarashtra. Then he said, Drushta tu Pandavanikam. So Duryodhan went and he saw the military forces of Pandavas. Now, it is so nice here when Duryodhana saw that in Bhagavad Gita first chapter, there are two people who will actually disturbed while seeing the armies. The first was actually Duryodhan, and the second was Arjun. It's all about Arjun. Even Duryodhan was also disturbed by seeing the armies. Now, Duryodhan was so confident about his victory because of numerical superiority, because he has, in terms of the numbers, he had higher military forces than in terms of Pandavas. And he was so confident that he thought that it's like a cricket match, right? It's like India versus Zimbabwe or some tiny UAE. It is easy cakewalk, right? So similarly, Duryodhan also thought that this match is going to be so easy that I will just easily win. And in fact, it will be no fun for him. Then what did he do? To incite them, to actually tease Pandavas, he sent the son of Shakuni Mama the previous night. And he said he went to all the Pandavas' place and they were teasing Pandavas. He said that, oh Arjun, oh Bhim, you are going to kill me? You know that how I actually made you at Virata's kingdom, that how I made you to dance, how I made you to clean the vessels to Bhima, right? And for Arjun, he made a eunuch, right? He made a eunuch there. So I made all of you and you are going to fight with me tomorrow and you are going to kill me. So the son of the Shakuni, he was actually teasing them so that they will get angry and there will be good fight for them. So you can imagine that Duryodhana was in a complete mood that he is going to be victorious over the Pandavas. But now, Drushta tu Pandavanikam. And as soon as now he saw that the military arrangement done by Pandavas, he was completely confused. He was actually in a fearful situation. Because he was thinking, just like now again giving cricket example, the way the batsman stands, we can understand whether it's an aggressive batsman or defensive batsman or left side batsman or right side batsman. So similarly, when Duryodhan saw the military arrangement done so nicely and so confidently, initially he was thinking that the Pandavas military arrangement could be a defensive, but it was not a defensive at all. It was a aggressive, in a mood that they are going to win, they are going to be victorious. Now, when Duryodhan saw all those things, he was actually confused. He was actually in a fearful situation. And then, Vyudham Duryodanastada Acharyam Upasangamya. Now, he went to Acharya. Who is Acharya here? Dronacharya. So now, there are great warriors in Duryodhana's side. So, and two of them are very important, which is Pitama Bhishma and Dronacharya. Now, Duryodhana always had some kind of suspicion whether these two people will fight for me or not. Because he was always saying that they are inclined towards Pandava, so there is a question of their commitment towards Kaurava side, and I am not sure whether these two people will fight for me or not. So, as soon as Duryodhana was in a difficult situation, his real nature actually came out, and his real nature was the diplomacy. Now he started a diplomacy. From the shloka number 3 to shloka number 11 is all diplomacy, Rajaniti. So here it is said that the real nature will be revealed, or his intention will be revealed when he starts speaking. One may conceal our intention by having good dress and all those things, but as soon as we speak, our words will reveal our intention. So similarly, Duryodhana's intention will be revealed, his diplomacy will be revealed. Because, in fact, Sunday, Bandhumana Prabhu was saying that the greatness of the living entities would be checked that under the difficult situation. Right? When we put in a difficult situation, then how we behave, how we respond to the situation, the greatness of the person can be measured. If we are in everything going good, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, things are good. But as soon as we are in difficult situation, how do we respond to the situation will actually come out. What is inside will come out. If we squeeze lemon, what will come out?
Lemon juice.
Lemon juice. If we squeeze apple, what will come out? Apple juice. If we squeeze apple, we will not get lemon juice, right? So similarly, what is inside will come out when we squeeze it, when we put in difficult situation. Similarly, this great envious, evil-minded, greedy-minded Duryodhana, when he was put in a cornered or he put in a difficult situation, what came in a Rajniti, did not came a good nature. So that's why, what did he do? Now, we talked about the two personalities, he had a doubt. Now he has to do some Rajniti. That's why here it is called as a Raja. Now, to whom Vyasadeva is addressing or Sanjay is addressing Raja here. Who is the Raja actually at that point of time? Dhritarashtra. So why did he addressed Duryodhana as a Raja? Our Acharyas, Baladev Vidyabhushan tells why here Duryodhana is called as Raja. Why is called as Raja? Because he is the son of Raja? No. Because if somebody uses the Rajniti, he is also called as a Raja. And now Duryodhana, now next 3 to 11 shlokas, is going to use full diplomacy. So the first diplomacy, immediately he was cornered, he went to Acharya, Dronacharya. Now why did not he go to Pitahama Bhishma, right? He should have got to, who is the elderly, who is the commander-in-chief at that point of time?
Bhishma.
Pitama Bhishma. Pitama Bhishma was the commander-in-chief for first 10 days.
10 days.
First 10 days was Pitama Bhishma was the commander-in-chief. So he had no reason to go to Dronacharya. Only on 11th day when he fell, it was a...
Yeah, it was said.
So that time, he should have gone to Pitama Bhishma, but Duryodhana did not go to Pitama Bhishma. He went to Dronacharya. And we know understand why Dronacharya and Pitama. Either of them he should have gone, but he went to Pitama, instead of going to Pitama, he went to Dronacharya. Why did he go to Dronacharya? Why did not he go to Pitama Bhishma? Very interesting point. Devotees or Acharya says that Pitama Bhishma was bounded to the monarch, right? He has taken an oath, right? With Bhishma Pratigya, that I will dedicate my life for the protection of the monarch. That means Pitama Bhishma was bounded by his oath. He is not going to deviate from his oath because Pitama Bhishma is known for his Bhishma Pratigya. Just like he had taken one that I will live my rest of the life celibacy, right? Brahmacharya. I will not get married. He lived his life. Now here says that I will dedicate my life for the protection of this monarch. Duryodhana was assured that he will fight. Of course, he has some soft inclination towards Pandava, but he will fight. But Dronacharya had no such oath that he has taken. So Duryodhana had a shanka, doubt whether this this great Acharya will fight for me or he will fight for
Arjuna.
Then what did he do? He went to him, right? This is the diplomacy, right? If you see there is something wrong, some person is, so we go there and try to put, okay, you are great and all those things. So similarly, he went there. So then Acharya is what? Who actually teaches by his own example. His divine, the founder Acharya, his divine grace is and the Swami Srila or founder Acharya. So he went to Acharya, which is Dronacharya, and then Raja Vachana Pravit. Now he will speak. And you can understand, so that we'll conclude here. It's so nice sloka. What is the difference between Arjuna's confusion and Duryodhana's confusion? Both were actually in a disturbing situation. Arjuna also got confused, Duryodhana also got confused. How they addressed the situation is very, very important learning lesson for all of us, that whether we have to go for the patch-up solution or the permanent solution. So Duryodhana tried the patch-up solution and Arjuna tried the permanent solution. So here Duryodhana, what did he do? He tried to find the solution of the situation by material intelligence. That I will go convince something, I will go diplomacy, I will take up name of Dronacharya, I will go to Pitama Bhishma, I will take all the great warriors' name. But you know that he did not take the name of Krishna. He was thinking, actually he did a mistake. He would have taken the Krishna name, but he did not, because he thought Krishna is an ordinary person. Second, he has taken an oath that he will not fight. And what he will do? He is not even a warrior. he is not going to, so he did not take a name of Krishna, and that happened, and at the end actually Krishna played a very important role in Pandava's victory. So Duryodhana tried all his diplomacy and all the material things to obtain the solution of the problem. The difficulties or the disturbing situation for Duryodhana was that the fear of defeat. But Arjuna did not have the fear of defeat. Arjuna had the fear of the death. How many people will be killed on the battlefield? And not only that, this once the people are killed, Kulakshaya Pranashanti Kula Dharma Sanatana, all the elderly people will be killed, and there will be no people, the great people, the elderly people will not be there to guide the new people, and there will be ras or the destruction of the dharma, and the women will be unprotected, and when the women are unprotected, there will be unwanted progeny, Varna Shankara. So that was the fear of Arjuna. The fear of Duryodhana was defeat. So that was the difference between Arjuna's and Duryodhana's fear. Both were disturbed. Now we will go to Arjuna. How did Arjuna handle the situation?
He surrendered to Krishna.
He surrendered to Krishna. And once he surrendered, he turned to God. When he had a difficulty situation, he turned to God. These ungodly people, or what you call the atheistic people, will try to solve the problem our own intelligence. Arjuna turned to God. But you see that both used their tactics. Arjuna also used the tactics. But the difference between Arjuna's and Duryodhana's tactics is that first Arjuna turned his face to God. He surrendered to God. Then, under the instruction of God, he dedicated his life, or he dedicated his fight for Krishna. And Duryodhana dedicated his fight for his own sense gratification. So the conclusion here, that when we have difficulties in our life, what do? We try to solve our problem on our own, not turning to God. Yes? Yes, Ram? Ram said, no. We have to turn to God. We have to turn to God.
That's how we do correct.
Take his blessing, take his instruction, and using that intelligence, dedicate our life. We can also do some tricks. We can also use some skills that we have. But tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaram yuddhacha. So that is the difference. So here the whole second sloka is talking about that how Duryodhana now start his diplomacy, Rajniti, and we see that from sloka number 3 to sloka number 11 is all about the diplomacy. Arjuna also did. He also used all his skills, but under the instruction of Krishna. It is not that when we are practicing God consciousness or spirituality, that means we don't use our skill. No. Just like Arjuna also used his skills, but for the benefit of or under the instruction of Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna, and opposite to that is Duryodhana. So we have to decide whether we have to become follower of Duryodhana or we have to become a follower of Arjuna, and that will decide what is the end result. Duryodhana's end result is a defeat, destruction. Arjuna's end result is a victory. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanudara Tatra Sri Vijaya Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama 18.70, last sloka of Bhagavad Gita. That is the conclusion that. So even the first chapter is just assembling the armies, but there are a lot of learnings for all of us, that how, because the best learning for all of us is that when there is a difficult situation, what shall we do? Because we always have, when there is difficult situation, kya karna hai abhi? What shall we do? We keep scratch our head and try to find the solution material way? No. Take a shelter of God. Srila Prabhupada told us what to do, how to do. And the best way of taking shelter in this age of Kali is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And by doing that, Krishna dadami buddhi yogam tam ena mam upayanti. Krishna will give intelligence, and with that intelligence, with that skills, we can actually fight a war, adharmic war. And finally, yatra yogeshwara Krishna, yatra partho dhanudara, tatra Sri Vijaya Bhuti Dhruva Niti. 4 things will be there: opulence, victory, everything will be there, morality. So that's how it is so important that we understand Bhagavad Gita, apply Bhagavad Gita the way Srila Prabhupada wanted all of us, the way Krishna wanted us, and the way Arjuna understood. We should follow the footsteps of Arjuna. So with that, we will pause here, end here. We will continue tomorrow again. The third sloka, how Duryodhana's Rajniti is very important. how Rajniti Duryodhana used. We will see from tomorrow's sloka number 3. Any question or comment, correction?
One question.
It is 7:57. 3-4 minutes or 5 minutes? Huh?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
So one small question, Prabhu. So in the beginning there was a mention that at least we should have a theoretical
Understanding of
faith form. So what does that mean really?
So the first thing, just like now when we understood here, theoretical understanding means that we understand by our jnana ways that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva dharman paritejam mam ekam sharanam. We have to surrender unto him. We have to follow his instruction. He is Maya Adhyakshana Prakriti. Because when we start any project or something, first we understand theoretically, and then we actually execute that. So by saying that, we at least we have to theoretically understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We will not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First thing. Second thing, that we will not take his instruction very seriously. Right? For example, now there are two personalities giving some instruction. One is some person on the road who has our class 4 officer, and or the chief minister or the chief secretary of Karnataka, to whom actually we will follow the instruction, or to whom will our instruction, or will be very much dedicated or respectful to whom will be much respectful? The chief secretary of Karnataka, because he is authority, he is a powerful person, he is a great person compared to the other person. So similarly, at least if we understand he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the dedication, the surrender will be much, a receptivity will be much better way. Just like when Prabhupada Bhagavatam says that the familiarity breeds contempt, right? Why we should not preach to our family member? Because that receptivity is very less. Right? If you go outside, you will get much more receptivity, but in the family members, right? Because they know I have seen. If you go to parents and say that you chant Hare Krishna, the father will say, Baba, I have seen you, I have changed your dress, I took you to restroom and all things. Now you are teaching me. But at the same time, if you bring another devotee there, then they will be much more respectful, right? The receptivity. So that's why accepting Krishna, if you don't accept Krishna as a Supreme Person, there is no point. Bhagavad Gita loses its importance there itself. Why Bhagavad Gita has importance? Because it is spoken by God, Lord Sri Krishna. But if you don't understand, then it is like Gita spoken by any ordinary human beings. It loses its importance. So that's why we have to at least understand Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, at least by theoretically. And by practical means, it is expected that we dedicate our life. But we have some conditioning, so at least start by theoretical. Does that help you?
Yes, please.
If we suppose, if we go, our Modi ji come here, or Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister, if we don't know he is a Chief Minister, we will not even give respect, right?
Yeah.
But if we know that he is a Chief Minister, then we give all respect. Imagine Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Lord and he is a Supreme Personality, but how much respect and other that we will actually offer to Krishna. So that is why it is important that we should understand theoretically. Yes, Shivram Prabhuji, बोलिए Prabhuji.
आपका क्वेश्चन जो था आपने ऑलरेडी क्लियर कर दिया, बट वन मोर थिंग आई कैन रिलेट इज दुर्योधन हैज नारायणी सेना, ही हैज भीष्म पितामह, द्रोणाचार्य, मोर नंबर ऑफ पीपल, एंड पांडवस वर रिलेटिवली वीकर इन नंबर्स, बट हैविंग पावर, नॉलेज एंड नंबर्स गेम उसके पास था, फिर भी उसके पास इनसिक्योरिटी था, डाउट था,
Fear था,
डाउट था,
self doubt था.
दैट आल्सो हैपेंस विद अस. नो, वी हैव सो मच ऑफ योरसेल्फ नॉलेज, have a team, इतना experience है, I am fit, all this thing, but still that self-doubt stays.
Yes.
And whom he reached out is again an imperfect person.
Yes.
But I think Arjuna has different kind of fears, but he could get real guidance there.
Yes.
That's what I can relate.
Yes. Yes. Very nice. Nice point. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Because see, the same thing happens. No, we have everything, but we are not confident to go out and do something.
Yes, exactly. And thanks for that. And this is what actually happens. Somewhere click, something light click हो जाएगा. अरे, I did not know. So if you have knowledge, we have power, we have all those things are 0, 0, 0, n number of 0. But if there is no Lord, it has no value. Just put Lord, then it has a value. Whether it's a 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 1 lakh, 100,000.
So there is no formula. Let us say that materialistic way. There is no formula that you are going in the right direction. somebody might be better than you, somebody might be another Duryodhan, bigger Duryodhan than you.
Yes, absolutely.
And not approaching the right person probably is the problem here. Let's say.
I mean, Bhagavad Gita only talks about Duryodhana. Bhagavatam talks about two great materialistic persons, or many. One of them is Hiranyakashipu. So dangerous, just by when he actually moves his eyebrow, all the demigods would actually get scared, afraid of him. We don't even if we change, I mean, if we have a moment of our Sisi Gandharvika Giridhari Narasimha Bhagwan, Nitai Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When we actually move our eyebrow, forget about the demigods, so cockroach will not forget after that. So you can see the difference between Duryodhana and us, and Hiranyakashipu, and so great. Nice, so nice. Thanks for sharing this one. And this is where the light will go on. That's why we have to hear Bhagavad Gita and
Another
Bhagavad.
thing, Prabhu, actually, while you were giving that Duryodhana Arjuna example, questions came, and it was covered by you only. So I don't think that this by reading ourselves we can get so much of insights. By no means we can read. Like only reading without listening from somebody who is qualified, who have understood from their gurus. So that I realized first time actually, because you have given so much of insight from this sloka.
So thanks to Srila Prabhupada, and that is why we have to actually hear, and that is one of the people, you heard at the beginning, right? To whom we should hear Bhagavad Gita. We cannot go to Tom, Dick and Harry, person who has realized. So that's why, in fact, Swamiji was asked question, Srila Prabhupada, are you perfect? Challenging Kali Yuga, challenging person, are you perfect person? Swamiji said, I am not a perfect, but I follow the perfect person, that's why I am a perfect person. Because he follows the perfect person, his spiritual master, his divine grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj. So we don't become perfect, but if we follow the perfect person, we become perfect. So that is why we have to follow in a disciplined section. It's very important. Any other question, comments, or realization? Yes, Prabhuji, boliye. आपका your name, Prabhu? Kamal Tiwari. Prabhuji, आप first time आ रहे?
Yes.
Oh, is it very good? Welcome to our program. Now, our Prabhuji has started this session, Bhagavad Gita, every day evening for all of us to understand Bhagavad Gita and apply. Boli Prabhuji.
Yeah, it is not related to Gita, but just curiosity point of view. We know that we have a Supreme Lord, and we are the Atma and Paramatma. Right?
Yes.
So I want to have a curiosity that why this material life?
Why this material life? Why? At first place, why this material life? Very good question. So, when Bangalore, any city, when we actually design or something, there are place for temple, there are place for hospital, there are place for school, there is a place for eating and all things. There is also a place called as a jail, right? Now, why the city designer would actually give that? That means you want the people go to that? No, because as we know that there will be some people who would not follow the rules and regulations of the governments. So there will be some people who disobey the rules. So there is a place for them, so that what would happen? These people will go there and they will reform there. The jail material, I mean, we are doing this analogy. It's a comparison because we have to give some analogy which we can understand in our own way. So that's why when the spiritual world is there, along with that, this material world is also there. One of the reasons for material world is for the purification of this, reformation of this. Unless and until reformation, and if you go to the jail, the reformation will not happen. It is not only for punishment, it is for the reformation. And the second thing, very important thing, Acharya tell us, why this material world at first place? Because in the spiritual world, there is only one master, and that is Lord. Because we wanted to become a master, and we cannot live along with Krishna there, because there is only Krishna. Then there is incompatibility situation. Then Lord says that, okay, if you want to be enjoy, you wanted to be master, then you go to this material world and try your way, and he says all the best. So because if we want to, we are in the constitutional position of the living entities, we are actually servant. Jivere Swarupai Krishnara Nityadas. Vedas tell us that our nature is that we are servant. So that means servant's nature is to serve the Supreme Lord. Just like this body, the hand is a part, is a limb of this body. As long as this hand is connected to the body, it will do all his functioning. He can roll, he can bowl, he can bat, he can eat, he can do. The moment this hand is disconnected, it will lose its functionality. So similarly, the living entities, we cannot have the same mentality that can be done in the spiritual world and have the tendency of lording over other things. So that's why Krishna said that, okay, you go to the material world and try to live like a master, which is not possible situation. It is incompatible situation. You will struggle, and that is why he said that dukkhalaya ma shasvata. He says dukkhalaya ma shasvatam, because it's an incompatibility situation. So for two reasons, Lord Krishna created this material world. It's for reformation, because there will be people like all of us, including me and everybody here. We are here because we actually disobeyed the laws of God. Then he said, okay, go there and reform yourself. And second thing that, and you wanted to be Lord, you try your, because sometimes we cannot learn unless we put our finger and we burnt ourselves. So he said, okay, you try and put your hand and you get burnt, and then you will learn the lesson. So these are two reasons that I hope it helps. We'll take the. You have any question, Mataji?
Maybe we can ask one.
Yeah. Okay. We'll end it. Okay. So I'll just speak to you, bro. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So please take benefit. Every day we have these Gita lectures.